Monaco, the jewel of Formula One. Tight streets, unforgiving walls, and a race that crowned a new king. Kimi Antonelli conquered Monte Carlo. Lewis Hamilton fought Ferrari's pride, and George Russell's crash shattered Mercedes' perfect weekend.
Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a weekend of absolute extremes. We're going to look at Antonelli's historic masterclass, the shocking wave of retirements, a totally bizarre pit lane penalty circus, and that intense Hamilton versus Leclerc drama. Plus, we'll dive into F1's future in Africa and what this all means for the championship picture. Let's get right into it.
You know, this weekend really had one core theme. It was like watching two entirely different realities play out on the exact same piece of tarmac. On one side, you have this serene, record-breaking masterclass by a 19-year-old rookie. And on the other, just utter, brutal carnage for seasoned world champions.
A rookie no more. Antonelli drove Monaco like a veteran, proving he's the future of Mercedes.
Seriously, look at this number, 68. That is the massive points gap Kimi Antonelli has now opened up over his own teammate George Russell in the Drivers' Championship. Sitting comfortably at 156 points, he is cementing a commanding lead that literally no one predicted when this 2026 season kicked off. And his Sunday was just flawless. In one afternoon, Antonelli completely rewrote the history books. He's now the youngest ever Monaco Grand Prix winner at just 19 years and 9 months. The youngest to snag a Grand Slam, the first Italian on pole in Monaco since Jarno Trulli back in 2004. Oh, and this was his 5th victory of the year. The craziest part? He achieved all of this while calmly hopping on the radio to say his car felt incredible. He made total dominance look totally effortless despite the immense pressure.
But behind him, the reigning champion looked ordinary. Monaco exposed Red Bull's cracks and kicked off a brutal wave of mechanical failures.
The grid was absolutely decimated. Right at lights out, Max Verstappen had an anti-stall nightmare. His car just choked and refused to go before his engine totally dropped dead on lap 1. Then you've got Lando Norris suffering a sudden loss of battery power, Valtteri Bottas dealing with severe brake failures, and a massive string of late race crashes. It was pure attrition out there.
And if the cars weren't failing, the drivers were getting caught out by a totally chaotic wave of pit lane infringements.
This is wild. Take a look at this official FIA document. Sergio Perez actually earned a devastating drive-through penalty right at the start. Why? Because he accidentally took Gabriel Bortoletto's empty grid slot since the Audi driver was starting from the pit lane. That momentary lapse in awareness totally set the tone for the steward's incredibly busy afternoon.
And it only escalated from there. We saw an unprecedented epidemic of pit lane speeding penalties. Hamilton, Russell, Colapinto, Piastri, they all got caught. Pierre Gasly even got pinged twice. I mean, was his speedometer on vacation or what? This crazy wave of 5-second penalties radically shuffled the midfield and turned team strategies completely upside down.
All of this chaos created a frantic late-race domino effect. Check out this timeline. On lap 56, Lance Stroll crashes at Anthony Nose. Out comes the safety car, forcing teams into these really chaotic strategic pit stop gambles. A bunch of guys served their speeding penalties here. But then, just 8 laps later, right after the restart, Charles Leclerc crashes at the exact same corner. A red flag is issued, and the entire race grinds to a halt.
Two legends clashing in the Principality. Hamilton's experience versus Leclerc's home pride.
So, after crashing out from 4th place right in front of his home crowd, a furious Leclerc totally refused to take the blame. He basically threw his supplier under the bus, going on the record to call his braking system borderline dangerous. He was absolutely convinced that a mechanical failure, not driver error, put him in the wall.
But Brembo was not having it. The supplier actually clapped back with a powerful PR statement, defending their 50-year partnership with Ferrari. They firmly insisted that telemetry data had to be reviewed before anyone started pointing fingers. It's incredibly rare to see a supplier publicly push back against a star driver like that, but they made it crystal clear they wouldn't just shoulder the blame without cold, hard proof.
Meanwhile, from contender to casualty, Russell's crash was Monaco's cruel reminder that one mistake ends it all. After his team completely failed to serve a 5-second penalty during all that red flag chaos, he got hit with a race-ruining drive-through. Tumbling down the order, he made a desperate push to recover, but it ended with him crashing out in the tunnel. It completely shattered Mercedes' perfect weekend and their double podium hopes.
So, to quickly wrap up the final classification after all that madness, Antonelli secures his brilliant victory. Hamilton uses his veteran instinct to battle his way up to second, and Ishaq Hadjar,
He remarkably nurses a broken gearbox to grab his maiden Red Bull podium in third. Piastri and Lawson rounded out a very unexpected top 5.
Okay, let's pivot for a second from the intense, localized drama of Monaco to the macro view of Formula One's global footprint, specifically this huge push to bring the sport back to Africa.
This is no longer just a pipe dream, guys. South Africa's Kyalami circuit recently secured a formal pathway to FIA Grade 1 status, which is the strict safety and infrastructure standard you need to host an F1 race. Plus, you have massive public backing from 7-time champion Lewis Hamilton, who rightly points out that Africa is the only inhabited continent missing from the calendar. The conversation has officially shifted from if South Africa can do it to how quickly they can make it happen.
And from a business perspective, the logic is absolutely undeniable. Look at this data. Premium global sporting events in South Africa generate massive economic returns. The 2010 World Cup brought in 3 billion rand in direct tourist spend. Even the recent LIV golf event brought in 800 million. An African Grand Prix would be a massive financial catalyst for the region's tourism and hospitality.
But honestly, it's about way more than just the economics. As motorsport coach Wesley Orr notes right here, hosting an African Grand Prix is really about inspiring the next generation. It makes the elite racing pathway visible, tangible, and believable for young local talent. It proves that the absolute pinnacle of motorsport doesn't just belong somewhere else.
Antonelli's rise, Hamilton's duel, Russell's heartbreak, Monaco gave us theater, not just racing.
Which leaves us with this final provocative thought to consider. As European street circuits continue to deliver such high-stakes drama and incredible global viewership, how long will it be until the streets of an African host city finally echo with the roar of Formula One? The momentum is undeniable.
The championship fight has shifted, and the streets of Monte Carlo will echo this drama all season long. Drop your Monaco headline in the comments: Antonelli's rise, Hamilton's duel, or Russell's heartbreak. And subscribe for more African motorsports storytelling with all the personality and none of the boring stats.